Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Marilyn and my channel's Making with Marilyn. Now I do all things crafty, but on today's video I'm going to use what you see right here. So here's what I'm going to do with these materials. I have this frame and it's wood with a whitewash finish. Inside there's some burlap and then you hang it with this twine or jute. Now it's a little bit rustic, but if you turn it over, you see on the back you can remove the burlap. I could put anything else in there, so I could change this out for various seasons. Now what I'm going to cut to put inside is the letter M, standing for my name. Now this is a unisub panel. I'll link to this. I get it from Conde Systems and it's sublimatable. Now if you don't have a laser that'll cut this, you could actually do this project with paper, cardstock, even thin leather, whatever you like to cut with your Silhouette or your Cricut. And I am going to do a Cricut project using this same kind of file. That'll be down the road just a little bit. So after I cut my unisub panel out, I'm going to use this pink design. It's mainly just bright pink. It's a little bit mottled. I didn't want it to be just a super flat design. I'll press this onto the unisub and then I'm going to place it right here. Now to place it there, I'm going to use this clear tacky glue. And then when I cut the unisub panel in my Glowforge, I'm going to use this paper masking tape to cover over it. Some other miscellaneous things. I'm going to use some butcher paper, scissors, maybe my ruler, my heat resistant gloves, and of course my computer, my heat press, and my Glowforge. Now the file that I'm going to use to cut my M out is beautiful. So let's jump over to the computer and I'll show you that. Now once I'm over at the computer, I'm going to be ready to go ahead and put this material in my Glowforge so that I can see it on the screen of my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and place this paper masking tape down. This just keeps the front of whatever you're cutting from having a mess of singe. So the unisub panel actually comes with a clear protective coating. And what I've done is I've peeled it up right here where I'm going to cut. And then I'm just placing my paper back down. Now the first thing that I want to show you is the file that I'm using. So I'm going to go to my downloads. I actually used a file from this distressed hot pink set for my pink paper. And then here's the file that I'm using for my M. So on Creative Fabrica, you can download this as many times as you want. Now I started with a $1 trial membership. I thought I would just download a bunch of things and not renew it, but I've had it for several months now. Now this file comes in as all these different types. For me, I'm excited that it's an SVG because that's what I'll use to cut it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go back through the process of downloading it. So I just click on download. Then I'll open my downloads, drag it to my desktop. And now I'm ready to open Inkscape, which is the design software that I'm going to use. You could take this directly into Cricut and resize it there. You could take it into Illustrator. You could take it into a lot of different programs, but I prefer Inkscape. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open Inkscape. This is what it looks like when I open it. Now I work in a lot of panels over here. For some reason, when this version opens up, they aren't there. So here's all I do. I just nudge it over and they show up. Now mine's defaulted by 12 by 12. On a cut file, that doesn't matter. If it's something you're printing, then you would need to go up to File, Document Properties, and you would change it to the size of printer paper that you're using. Again, for me, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open my downloaded file. And the SVG version is right here. Okay, so this looks like a font. It's not actually a font that you type from. It's little individual files that you can use in your projects. So the first thing I'm going to do is say Object and Ungroup. And then I can get rid of everything except for the M. So let me just move it out of the way. Then I can drag my cursor around all the rest of those letters and delete those. Okay. So that came in as a different size. So I'm going to go ahead and go back. I'm going to change my units to inches. And then I want my document or my template to be 12 by 12. Now I also want to change my units right here. And you can see right now my file is tiny. It's less than an inch tall and an inch wide. Now let me go ahead and lock the proportions. Now the amount of space that I have available to me is about 6 inches by 6 inches. So I'm going to click on this rectangle and square tool, and I'm going to go ahead and make a square. To change the size or to check the size, I need to click right here. I'll unlock it and I'll make it 6 inches wide and 6 inches tall. Now the color of this, it just defaults to the last color that I used. And I can tell that the opacity is really low. Let me just click on it and show where you see that. If you go to fill and stroke, yes, you can see my opacity is way low. So let's go ahead and turn that up. And then I'm going to turn this a color that's easy to see, or easy to see my design on. I'll just turn it light gray. Then finally, it's in front of the M. So I'll click on Object and lower to bottom. Okay, now I can click on my M and move it down. Now I want to blow my screen up, so I'm going to hold the Shift down and hit the plus button. And then let's just go ahead and make this M. Let's see, I'll lock the proportions, and I'm going to start by making it about 4.5 inches wide, which with the proportions locks makes it 4.336 tall. Now I don't like how wide this is compared to the height. So now I'm going to go ahead and unlock it, and I'm just going to say make it 4.25 wide. Okay, I do like those proportions better, so I can lock it again, and let's go up in size a little bit. Let's go 4.5. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. I really want to fill most of the space on my burlap because the majority of what you see, since you'll see through this, will be burlap. I want to make it as large as possible. Now, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I want to show you something. Look how thin some of these lines are. That one looks like it doesn't even touch almost. This would be very, very difficult to impossible to cut either in a laser or the Cricut. So I need to bulk up those lines. Now, since this came in as an SVG, it came in as what's considered a path. If something comes in as an object, you have to convert it to a path to do this next step. And I've shown that in various videos. So if you're interested, check out one of those videos or ask me how to do it, and I'll do a quick video on it. All right. So to bulk up these lines, with the M selected, you go up to Path and Outset. And when I click this, those lines will grow ever so slightly. Okay. Now maybe you notice there's a shortcut. And the shortcut is the Command and the right parentheses. So I'll go ahead and click this one more time here. And then to bulk it up, I'm going to use that shortcut on my keyboard. All right, now it looks like you're losing some detail, and you are, but there's going to be so much detail on this, I promise you, it's still going to turn out beautiful. Now I see some little white spots, or actually they're gray spots right now because it has gray behind it, which we can go ahead and get rid of since we have it the size we want it. Let me zoom in on these. Okay, so see some tiny little white spots there? That's going to actually cut if we don't get rid of these. And at first this seems a little bit overwhelming, but I promise you it's not. Once you've done it a few times, you get used to it. It's really not a big deal. So hang with me, don't go anywhere. Let me show you how to do this. So I have the M selected. I'm going to go right here, and this is a tool that you can use to get rid of these white spots. So let's look at the nodes. I've clicked the nodes tool. I'll click right back over on the design, and everywhere where there's a node, and basically the nodes tell the computer the shape of the design, we have some extra nodes out here. That's what's causing those little white spots. So if I just hover over all of these, or take my cursor around them, it selects them, then I can hit delete on my keyboard, and it gets rid of them. So now those little white spots are gone. So I'm just going to take a few minutes. I'm going to go through this design and I'm going to get rid of some of those. Okay, now that I'm done cleaning this up, I'm just going to save it to my desktop and then I'll go into the Glowforge software and open it there. Okay, here's the interface of the Glowforge. Now you can design on this if you pay a monthly fee, which I don't. So I just design in something else. Again, usually in my case it's Inkscape because that's free. So I'm going to say upload and then I'm going to go look for my design and pull it in. Okay, so it's bringing it in. And I do want to do a reality check to make sure it came in at the right size. So right here there's a little ruler and it looks fine. Now this is the last cut that I did. I was doing the circles to see if it worked better with using the paper masking or without. I liked it with the paper masking. Now my Glowforge isn't on right now. When I turn it on, the camera's going to recalibrate and then I'll be able to place this where I want it. But first of all, let's go up to unknown. With this material, I've had great luck using the thick draft board setting, so I'll select it. When you use one of their settings, it sets the speed and the power for you. So if you can find something that they have that you like, that works well with your material, that's great. Now right now it thinks I want to engrave this M, which I don't, so I'll click on engrave and I'll change it to cut. Now the lines have turned red. Now I'm going to need to turn on my Glowforge. It'll get just a little bit noisy in here, but that's the next step I need to do so that I can place this where it goes. So right now the camera on the Glowforge is just doing its thing, checking out what's on the bed, and here in a minute you'll see that update. Okay, so it did update. Now the first thing I want to do is go up to these three dots, click on Set Focus, and then I want to put this red square, or the outline of this square, right over here so that the Glowforge will focus there. That way I can get my design set exactly where I need it. Okay, so it finished. What I want to do is I want to put my design down there and I'll move it pretty close to the corner so I waste as little material as possible. So at this time I like where it's placed, so I'm going to say print, and it's actually going to cut. And it's going to take a little over 17 minutes to make this cut. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera to the Glowforge and we'll watch this cut. Okay, so I already lost some of the pieces when I lifted it out of the Glowforge and carried it over here. So the first thing I want to do is just go ahead and push the M through and get rid of this piece. And just in doing that, quite a few of the pieces fell out. So now I can just use anything I want and just kind of keep pushing those through. They're wedged in there a little bit. Okay, I think I got everything out of there. Actually, I see one right now. There we go. So hopefully they're all out. If not, I can get them out later, even after I sublimate it. So now what I want to do is start peeling off that top protective paper, or the masking paper, and that's going to reveal the white unisub panel. Now, unfortunately, with really intricate designs like this, it tends to break. So it does take a little bit of patience, a little perseverance, but this is going to be so cute in the end, it's going to be well worth it. Now, after I take all this off, I'll go ahead and clean the top with some alcohol and paper towels, dry it off, and then give it a minute or two really to make sure it's dry. All right, let's see if we can get some of that off with just alcohol. Maybe it'll loosen up the paper enough, or maybe it won't. Actually, I do see some of it rubbing off. Now, I want to make sure I don't do this in the air. I want to have something solid behind it so that I don't accidentally snap any of those little pieces. All right, so here's my M. It's fully dry. I put it under the heat press for a little while just to make sure. And I want to show you, because some of these are so intricate, a bit of the sublimation coating popped off. So I think it's going to look okay like that because the M will be pretty dark. I don't think that's really going to show, but if it does, I'll just dab some little paint on it. So here's what I would do differently next time. I think I would probably just paint some thin wood to cut it this size, or make it larger and really bulk up those lines or the little pieces of the design quite a bit more. I think that would fix the problem. But for now, we're going to go ahead and move forward. All right, so I need to cut out some of this paper, and I just need to make sure that I have enough to fit under my design. Then I can save the rest for little miscellaneous projects. Now, because there's not a lot of variation in this, and because it's going to cover the whole thing, I don't have to worry about ghosting so much. So I'm not going to go crazy with tape, but I will put one piece in the middle. Basically, it wouldn't matter if this shifted because there's really no true details in the pink. All right, let's go ahead, go over to the heat press and see how this turns out. Because there's so many holes in this, when I turn this over, there's a lot of sublimation ink that's going to bleed through. So I'm going to have 2 levels or 2 layers of paper under this, and then I'll put another piece of paper on top of this. All right, so let's check this out. Now, I heated it for 45 seconds at 385 degrees. And notice all the ink that came through. That's what I was talking about. That's why I used 2 layers. Now you can see where you still see brown over here. But honestly, I don't think it looks bad enough for me to dab that with paint. I think the paint might stick out more than the brown. So I'm going to leave it like that. It's for me, it's a learning lesson. Lesson learned. Don't have such intricate details on this unisub. I think on wood it might have been okay, but on the unisub where that top part or the sublimation coating can pop off, not a good idea. Okay, so now all I have to do is put some tacky glue on the back of this. And I'm using this clear gel tacky glue. I don't have to put it everywhere. It's going to stick just fine with some strategic places. So I have two big parts on the backs of these flowers. So I'm going to put a nice size dab of glue there. Then I'm going to be really sparing with this. I'm going to go around the outside edge. So I'm just going to go around the outside edge, and if there's any excess, get it kind of wiped away. Then I want to go ahead and pretty much just center this up in the middle. And this tacky glue is going to be a little bit forgiving. I'll be able to slightly adjust this before I press it down. All right, I think that looks pretty good. It might be just a little bit high. So I'm going to start pressing in the center of those flowers where I know I have that big piece on back. And then I can just press down around the outside perimeter. All right, and I can tell already that's not going to fall off. So even though I just did this, there's enough glue on there. That's going to be fine. Now, despite my little setback of some brown showing, I think that is adorable. I think it turned out super cute, and I'm going to love hanging that on my wall. Now, if you're interested in this file, I will have a link to the file in the video description. I'll have a link to the masking paper. I'll have links to a lot of things. So if you're interested, check those out. If you're able to use those, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. But most of all, I just appreciate you watching the video. So until the next one, bye-bye.